कर दिया.
Thank you so much. And I want to share my screen now. Sharing the screen first. My screen.
Hi, Bhavin. Good morning. This is Vaibhav from Chicago, USA. I've joined in. Your speaker is on mute. Bhavin, your speaker is on mute.
तपन भाई भाइन भाई ने unmute करो.
I've unmuted myself, but I'm not able to screen my share screen. Host has disabled, it says. Please.
तपन भाई हमने share करवाना rights.
आपेला अच्छे.
I'm not able to do it. It is being the message host disable the participant screen sharing. I have registered as a participant. Tapan bhai, please allow the screen sharing. Okay, but now.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, is it my screen?
Yeah, Bhavin.
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All fine.
Good morning, and I would request everyone else to mute themselves so that we have a better connectivity in the voice. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome. I hope you've been able to see the screen. This topic, and thank you, Bharat bhai, for giving me the opportunity, and Sunil bhai is all-time mentor for us. GIS has been a great platform for me to explore things. So I chose the topic of design thinking journey from Jugaad to innovation, and it has been seen that Jugaad has India's overrated idea, and design thinking is the misunderstood concept today. Hence, it needs to be demystified, and its understanding needs to be developed in the true sense. Everybody tend to use it interchangeably, and then whatever that we do, we tend to give the name design thinking to everything. Also, innovation is also, I feel it as is most abused and overused word, being used as a synonymous to many things. So we'll start with a very different perspective. I would request everyone at their own places to do some little exercise in the morning, that raise your right hand towards the ceiling, and your index finger up, and try to rotate it from there on itself from this direction, and slowly and gradually bring your hand down while rotating it, while continue to rotating it. You will realize that you started from the clockwise direction, and when you bring your hand down, in the anti-clockwise direction. So what all I'm trying to say is, for all these three big words, I would be talking about a different perspective to that, and we'll try and explore what is it that we are going to do with it, and how do we innovate better. And that is the function and the prima facie most main requirement with which GIS, the Gujarat Innovation Society, exists. Yeah, so this is what we would like to try and explore today. So if I may say, Jugaad is known by everyone. No, it is undisputable. We are born genius, and Jugaad is ingrained in our blood and things. Everyday routine things, we tend to improvise with the makeshift arrangement and all that. But when it comes to leading to the innovation, I mean, it requires the understanding of the design thinking, and those who use the design thinking leads to the innovation much better. And here the definition of innovation also is a bit different, which we'll take it up further when we go. So what is your understanding today of the innovation? We as a professors are habituated to ask the questions all the time. And that is where the question lies, but you need to kind of memorize that in your mind. And what are your aspirations as an innovator, if I may say? Everybody would agree to me that for the industrialist and also the business people, ultimately it is to think about the market success. Yeah, if we that is the common acceptance across the board, that is what we would be kind of exploring further today. If we try and see that how does India tend to innovate and what do we tend to consider in India the innovation as, it is like, you know, using the washing machine for the lassi making. It seems to be the very definition of innovation in India. And we are kind of very happy, and it is a life routine for us to do these kind of innovations, which is frugal, which is flexible. Maybe, I mean, you see this kind of a scenario that, you know, people are trying to take the bath with the whatever constraints, and probably we take a pride, we know the best how to bathe even in the constraints, which is very, very important. All through the country, the constraints are very much being there. In spite of we do this, who else knows that better how to repurpose the drilling machine usages in the kitchen, and that to you know, various different usages and drilling machine in the kitchen. But yeah, very effectively people are been. Of course, anything is not left behind. The COVID-19 as well has been these kind of masks being made, and then people take a pride that we have innovated upon, and we are kind of making arrangement for us. Automobile sector definitely cannot be left behind in making the makeshift arrangements for us. Yeah. The some of the sports versions, I mean, the games very well known are being used very, very differently, but they don't let go not to play it in spite of whatever constraint it is. And these are the new versions of it. Yeah. And yeah, some of the, I mean, photographs there are very self-explanatory, that the temporary solutions that we create within the given context. And ultimately, we tend to call this all as an innovation, which is a makeshift arrangement. Yeah. So in India, Jugaad is kind of replaced the word innovation many a times. And Jugaad is basically an idiosyncratic response to a problem. Idiosyncratic responses, and what we do on Jugaad is do make the makeshift arrangements. We saw in previous examples that how the temporary solutions are being formed. What are the solving the problem? Important. We'll come to this when we talk about the innovation next. So it is solving the individual's problem, not the people problem. So work with a limited resource around works only in the given context, repurposing the things around us, and also make use of the available product differently, the way you saw the drilling machine being used differently in the kitchen. And the cartoon is also very self-explanatory about Jugaad, what it does. Summarizing this, Jugaad is fundamentally converting the constraints to the opportunity, and innovation is making successful implementation in the market. This is the definition, and this is the difference which we will lead further. Yeah, as to, and this is a very well-known anecdote or a real story, I don't know. But when the Bata was trying to explore the market in Africa, nobody was in the shoe, and they converted that into an opportunity, saying that this is a huge market potential, there is competition, and hence we would try and operate, and the rest of the things are the story for Bata. If you try and look at the limitations of Jugaad, they are basically confining to 4 or 5 major things, which is very, very important for innovation. Is Jugaad is always difficult to multiply. Jugaad is difficult to mass produce with it. It is a temporary solution for the individual, which I said in the previous slide as well. And difficult to scale it up, which is essential requirement for, again, innovation. And if I differentiate between these two words, Jugaad and innovation, it is difficult to innovate from Jugaad. Yeah, having said that, what do you know about innovation, and what do you need to know about innovation to be able to innovate? Is basically, innovation is about opportunity to kind of applying that into the action, creation to the implementation, making the products to making it successful to the market, which is the journey of innovation. And fundamentally speaking, Jugaad is for the personal use, innovation is for the consumer's use. And hence, the requirement of the innovations are, it should be able to be mass produced, it should swiftly be able to replicate, and we should easily be able to phase-wise scale it up. And ultimately, it has to become a market success for the definition that we are carrying it off. In other words, the limitations of Jugaad are the requirements of innovation. I need not to reiterate this, it is very self-explanatory. And in other words, Jugaad and innovation, in my view, is inversely proportionate. Yeah. So Jugaad, in different words, is also the convenient way and the bricolage way, whereas the innovation is a smart and a better way for the market success and our growth. Some of the case studies, if you may look at, this is what the Aravind eye care system in Chennai, they have achieved. And putting the long story short, they have been able to do the cataract operation for thousands of people, if not lakhs of people by now, through their bucks around treatment has been done within the 3,000 rupees for the poorest of the poor, and then still within the quality. Same thing goes for the Narayan Hridayalaya. It is known as the assembly for the cardiac surgery. You can't think of the factory-made cardiac surgery, and that too again comes at a very reasonable cost to us. Yeah, this is what has been happening, and people have achieved this. So we are trying to look at the difference between Jugaad and innovation. If there is something to bring this method to the mass, is the animal called design thinking. It is to bring the method to the madness, and it is also to bridge the gap between the designers and an artist. And there is a difference. Yeah, an artisan and a designer, how would one kind of work and differentiate between? And innovation, Jugaad, these are the kind of two different things, and converting and channelizing the creative energy to make the innovation happen, which is the bridge between creative energy and the market success, is nothing but the design. Yeah, and it always attends to the triple bottom line of socio-cultural, economical, and environment aspects. In other words, it talks about people, profit, and planet, all three at the same time. Yeah, we'll come to that. If you look at this chart a little more in detail for the time, for some few seconds, you realize that not every one of us are designers, but the way every one of us are Jugaadus and can do Jugaad, we are all can think like a designer's think, and we all can be the design thinkers. It is not the question of being able to, but it is the requirement. We need to be a good design thinkers for anything and any trade that we operate. So there are design thinkers, like, if you take an example of, there was a person in Mumbai metro train. I've heard he has been selling the insurance policy to the commuters who wishes to travel ticketless. Sounds really funny, but created a business opportunity, maybe for a small time, and with a small premium, he insured them all from the consequences of the being caught the ticket checkers. So it is not always the product which matters to you, but services also can be innovated upon, and that is what businesses around are doing, and those who are doing it successfully are being successful in the market. Coming to the design thinking story, which is overused today and everybody is after it, maybe without knowing the real depth of the design thinking, and hence if you do not know, if you are mystified about the concept of design thinking, it might not give its real result, but if you fundamentally understand in the first place and then apply, then the success rate is going to be really very, very high. And these are the main steps. And if you look at the framework, it's from empathy. You say empathy, empathizing user and the consumer. Yeah, identifying the needs, identifying the insight, and from that developed insight, we define what are we wanting to do, what do we want to offer. When I say empathy and insight, it is the example of, for India, every car is a temple in itself. You would all agree to, right? So we have an idol being kept. But initially, when cars were being manufactured elsewhere in the Western world and other places, this is not the concept of the idol in the on the desktop, the dashboard. So the Maruti people, they realized, and this was the feature in the Fronty, that how do you be able to on the dashboard very conveniently, easily, well. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what the insight is all about. Yeah, and having realized this requirement, you then tend to ideate further, conceptualize, and design detail it. And most important part is prototyping then. And once the prototype is ready, you tend to test it in the market. Yeah. And the importance of design thinking framework is every step is important. More importantly, this works in a loop till the time you lead to it is a reiterative process. Not many people understands this. When I say reiterative process, it needs to be working in a loop till the time you get the real better result. And the time would be the defining factor. When would you end, where and how. Another thing about the design thinking is that the beauty of it, you can start from anywhere. It is not required that you start only from empathy. You can start directly from the prototyping itself and say mock-up model or whatever, and that would give you maybe some of the insights that how do we take you further and how do you ideate it. So these are, I call, some of the softer aspect of design thinking which people don't understand, and the testing and validating part has been undermined quite a lot in today's date. If you move further, this is the tool and the framework which is very, very essential and useful, very simple to understand, very difficult to achieve. EFV, the first and the foremost, anything that you do has to generate and innovate from the desirability aspects. There has to be a need in the market for the users, and you identify that, as I said, as part of the design process from the empathy, that part of the framework. So having realized, understood the desirability aspect, we need to check the feasibility of making it, the technical feasibility, technological feasibility, whether it is doable to mass produce, whether it is can be constructed, whether can that be given. And the most important thing for everyone around here would be interested in making it a viable for the business and making it a market success, which we name it as innovation. But innovation does not happen only by having a real good model. And these are some of the examples which has made it understood that Tata Nano always comes in whenever you talk about innovation, whether it is a failure mechanism or a success mechanism. I would say it is both. Yeah, it probably overall could not succeed because they could not understand the aspirational and desirability aspects of the consumers, but the viability and the feasibility has been achieved. Yeah, we know all. So what I'm trying to say here is, for anything to become innovation and successful in the market, all the three is equally and most important thing. You can't miss out on any of those. Segway is also the similar story. I mean, desirability aspect in that segue would have been there, feasibility, they did happen, but business viability somehow one could not address there. And if you really try and look at, apart from the non-successful examples, Apple iPhone is the example of having all the three put together and being able to achieve the success that they have achieved so far. And another framework is PDCA. Looks very simple one, but these are the 4 steps which needs to kept in mind in anything that you do. It is to plan, do, check, and act. So problem identification, problem definition, problem solving, and problem setting part goes into the planning aspects of it, and data collection, data research, and all of those aspects, and quality check and other things comes in the checking aspects. And acting on it, implementing and executing is extremely important when it comes to design and design innovation and innovation basically. Yeah, so design thinking, if I have to summarize, is to use as a business tool that makes strategy visible, and it converts Jugaad to the innovation, and it operates from opportunity to action. Action is extremely important. Understanding the opportunity is again very important. I'm almost coming to end of my presentation as going beyond Jugaad and leading to the true innovation. The way I explained and defined it, the market aspects of the innovation is a long journey. And we have ought to have started it already with the efforts of the GIS Foundation through this power talk on design. I am very this thing about it. एंड these days आजकल बात ये चल रही है कि भारत को आत्मनिर्भर बनाना है, और यदि भारत को आत्मनिर्भर बनाना है तो we will have to go beyond the concept, idiosyncratic concept of the Jugaad, for that matter, in my opinion, to shift, inevitably to shift from the Jugaad to the innovation. And the way to do it, to approach to that, is through the design thinking. If we really try and look at, I mean, the kind of position that India has in the global innovation index, is we are at present at the 52nd rank. We have moved from the journey in 2015 rank of 81 to, after 5 years, being able to reach at the level of 52. We are not in the list of the first 50. And our aspirations are that to come into the top 10, then this is something that we will have to kind of accommodate. And चलता है एटीट्यूड अब नहीं चलेगा यदि भारत को आत्मनिर्भर बनना है तो. So the Gujarat को यदि प्रोग्रेस करना है, the way it has been progressing in the past, we will have to adopt design thinking and innovate. Thank you so much, everyone, and I hope I have been confining to the time given.